Hi, I'm Lori Kennedy. I don't wear makeup. I have 2 kids. I sometimes order fast food, like delivery, the not healthy kind, for myself and my kids when we're in a bind. I spend most of my time in a hockey arena, and I firmly believe that everything that you want for your business and your life is 100% possible for you, and I'm never gonna bullshit you. It's part of my brand. So in this video, if you're like, Lori, what's a personal brand? Do I really need one? I feel really uncomfortable about it. Is it professional of me to do so? If you're wondering all those things, this video is for you because we're talking all about personal brands today. Okay, so personal brands. Let me start off by saying there is no separation between church and state. Even if you are a licensed health professional or you have a business name other than using your own name, you as a human, you as a person trying to grow your business online, you are the personal brand behind the business. So my business is the Wellness Business Hub, but I'm Lori Kennedy. And when people are searching for things, they're likely going to gravitate to me as a human, because if all that they ever saw was just blog posts and tips and blog posts, they're not going to stay a loyal client for a long time. And that's what we want, right? We want clients, AKA fans. And I know that might be a bit weird. You're like, I don't want fans. I totally get it. And just stick with me for a second. So we want clients who fall in love with us. We want clients who love us for us, so that if you happen to be a vegan and then you go to paleo, they're gonna follow you because they love you. And if that's the scenario, you're gonna lose some followers. We're not talking about that today. So a personal brand is you representing yourself as a business, because that's what we're doing here. If you want to grow your health practice online, again, even if you use another name, Eating Made Simple, people are going to gravitate to Eating Made Simple because it's you, right? Not because it's Eating Made Simple. And yes, that's good and that's helpful and that's the tips that they want and that's the help that they want, but they're going to stay and they're going to buy and they're going to refer because they fall in love with you. And so when you were in school or your designation or whatever, it probably never occurred to you that you needed to become a brand. You, in and of yourself, need to become a personal brand in order for you to grow online. That's just the way it is right now. Is it possible for you to be completely absent from your brand, never show your face, never show up online as you, and just have the business? Sure, it's possible. It's way harder, especially if you want to position yourself as the expert or the coach. If you don't show your face, if you don't show up as you, as the brand, as the business, it's going to be harder, much harder, for those ideal clients to trust you, because who is it that they're actually trusting? Some blog posts, some recipes, right? A lot of clients have stranger danger and they're super skeptical. And the reason that they're going to want to work with you is because it's you, not because it's some blog post or some business name. So I strongly encourage you to do whatever inner work you need to do to get past this whole idea of feeling super uncomfortable putting yourself out there. I totally get it. It feels very unnatural at the beginning. But here's what I want you to think about. You are aspirational. Your clients follow you. Your clients want to be in your world and in your community because they aspire to be like you. So while it's super weird for people to want to know what you ate for breakfast and where you buy your underwear and what deodorant you're wearing and what did you put in your shake and what pillowcase are you using, all of those life details, that is part and parcel of being a personal brand and leading a community of people who are doing the work to have the results that you've already achieved. You are not your ideal client anymore. That doesn't mean you're perfect. That doesn't mean you have it all figured out. It just means that you are no longer your ideal client, and your business is set up to help them transform to get to the place where you are in your life. You're aspirational. People aspire to be like you, which means you have to share all the details of how you got there. Let me rephrase. You don't have to share all the details. You get to have a private life. You get to keep some things personal, but you need to share some of the details that have gotten you there that are helpful for your ideal client. So let's walk through the different components of creating a personal brand so that you can start to think about how you want to craft your brand, because you do get to craft your brand. It's your personal brand. You get to decide how you show up. You get to decide how people perceive you. You get to decide how people talk about you. It should be authentically you, done in a very integrity-based and responsible way. Of course, there's those people that show up one way online and then show up an entirely different way offline. That sucks. Don't do that. So you want to create a brand that is authentically you, so that whether you're online, on Instagram, or offline, you get to be you. Because if you don't get to be you, it's freaking exhausting. It's exhausting anyway, but at least this way you just get to show up as yourself. So let's start off and build out the components of a personal brand so that you can start thinking about how to craft this brand for yourself in a way that feels comfortable to you. So the first thing I want to explain to you is this concept, which I made up the name. It's called an edutaining expert persona. Okay, so you have a persona, and maybe it's helpful for you to think about this as an alter ego or a persona or whatever. It's you who you are, like 10x. It's 10x. It's a 10x version of you. You decide what to share. You decide how you show up. You decide how people get to talk about you. This is your persona. Now, again, you don't want it to be drastically different from who you are in real life. It's a 10x version of you. It's a bigger, larger than life version of you. It's like your reality TV version of you. Think about it that way. Except it's still you, because then if it's not you, it's out of integrity. So your edutaining expert persona, emphasis on the expert. What are you an expert in, right? What was the transformation that you went through that you are now demonstrating how you walk the talk and how you got there through your content, through your brand, right? Your entire brand and your business is set up to attract and nurture, connect, and convert an ideal client avatar. Your persona is used to attract the avatar into your world. There's a lot of people who like me and a lot of people who don't like me, and that's great on both sides. Who I am as a person attracts certain people, and who I am as a person repels certain people. That's awesome. I have swear words in my edutaining expert persona because that's who I am, because I would never be able to show up anywhere in public in real life and censor myself. It's not possible for me. So I make sure that I inject swear words into my brand. Those people who think that dropping F-bombs is unprofessional, they're not my ideal clients. They don't like me. They're gonna go get served by someone else. I'm using my persona, my brand, to attract and repel. So you get to decide what are you an expert in, and you use who you are and your expertise to attract ideal clients and repel even ideal clients who wouldn't like you as a person. And you probably wouldn't jive with them as a person, which is great, right? So first thing first is, what are you an expert in, and how are you going to meld your expertise with who you are as a person, your persona. And then the next thing that I just want to remind you of is that there is no separation between church and state. What does that mean? That means that you as a personal brand, how you show up online, how you show up offline, everything is branding, right? So an example would be your personal Facebook page. Your personal Facebook page is not personal anymore. If you've decided that you are going to build an online business, then you have to think about the totality of your life as being part of your brand, right? Your personal Facebook page, unless you have a different one that's, only used for like your immediate family and friends, when people Google your name, one of the first things that's going to pop up in a Google search is your personal Facebook page or your LinkedIn profile, even before they get to your website. So there is no privacy in the sense of your personal page being your personal page anymore. You use your personal page as a representation of your expert persona. You can post pictures of your kids, of course, if that's what you choose to do, if they are part of your brand, or you are absolutely entitled to, let's say, keep your kids completely out of the limelight. That's a choice you get to make. But make no mistake about it. Every post, every mention, every tag, it goes back to your brand. So as an example, this happened in my own life. I was at a party a couple years ago. It was a Halloween party, and I made Jell-O shots. Okay, I made Jell-O shots. I don't really drink, but I made Jell-O shots for everyone else. And I was tagged in a photo where there was booze all over the table. And I untagged myself because I don't want that to be part of my brand as much as I talk about drink if you want to, it's fine. I made the Jell-O shots, but I didn't like the look of that photo. And so I untagged myself because I didn't want that to be associated with my brand, because if I ever wanted to, I don't even know where it would go, but like do a deal with a company, they're gonna go through my social media profile and they might not like that, right? And so it's my social media profile, it's my brand, it's all curated based on who I am authentically so that it's in integrity, but make no mistake about it, it's still curated, right? And so everything that you publish, everything that's said about you, it goes back to your brand. And so there's no separation anymore in the public eye between you as like a private citizen and you as a public brand. You are certainly entitled to privacy, but make it private. Like if you want to have a private Facebook page, then don't open it up to the public, but you need one open to the public. So just don't use the public facing one for your own like private needs. So the next thing that I want you to think about when it comes to creating your personal brand is drawing a line in the sand about your beliefs and what you stand for. So it's a really powerful thing for you to stand for something and against other things, because then you have something to say, right? People can agree with you or disagree with you, and the people that agree with you are going to agree with you, and that makes up a community, right? So what do you stand for and what do you stand against? For example, in my brand, in my world, I stand for making boatloads of money and being completely unapologetic about it. We don't need to have any stigma around making 5 figures or 6 figures or 7 figures or multi-7 figures and hiring a cleaning lady and outsourcing all the domestic tasks, because who wants to do laundry, right? So I stand for all of that. I stand for you building the business and life of your dreams all on your own terms. I stand for you being a highly sensitive person, whatever that is. I stand against all those other scarcity-minded people who don't think that you're going to be able to achieve your dreams. You need to stand for something. You need to have an opinion about something. That's what makes you an expert, right? So what do you believe in? You need to share that as part of your brand. It's part of your messaging. It's part of your passion. It's the passion that probably got you into this career in the first place. So make sure as part of your brand that you are communicating what you stand for and what you stand against. And then the other part of the brand obviously is the fun part. And I hope that I don't know how to spell this, aesthetics. How do you spell aesthetics? Aesthetics. Okay, so aesthetics. This is obviously part of your brand. This is the pretty part. This is the fonts and the logos and, you know, the filters that you put on and the way that everything comes together. It's the colors, it's the feel of the brand. So my aesthetics are plain because I am plain. I mean, you can't see where I'm filming right now, but my house is the color of my brand. Everything is branded. I don't wear different clothes in my private citizen life than I would in my branding stuff. So my branding very much represents who I am as a person. I'm never gonna show up anywhere in a floral dress, I can promise you that. And I'm never gonna really show up anywhere with like full makeup on. You won't see that in my brand and you won't see that in my real life. So pick an aesthetic palette, for lack of a better term, pick your aesthetics accordingly. Make sure that, again, it's in integrity. So if you're not a makeup, shiny, hair coiffed, nails done type of person, don't put that into your branding because it's exhausting. Because then every time you show up, you have to get your freaking hair done. And that sucks if that's not who you are. On the flip side, if that's who you are, use it. Just make sure that your aesthetics matches who you are so that when you show up in real life, it's not inauthentic. So that's a really big thing when it comes to creating your personal brand. And then the last thing that I want to say about personal branding is the feeling of it, right? It's the feeling, oh, I can't spell today. It's the feeling and it's the stories that you tell. Your brand is a representation of you. As I've said many times throughout this video, you get to decide how you show up in all areas of your life, not just in your personal brand, obviously in your private citizen life too. But the one thing that I want you to think about is how do you want your brand to make your ideal clients feel? What are some stories that you can tell within your brand, let's say your brand stories, your story, your journey, some case studies? How can you get your brand to initiate feelings that you want your ideal clients to feel? Maybe you want them to feel empowered. Maybe you want them to feel hopeful. Maybe you want them to feel supported. You get to decide. You get to use your brand to make your ideal clients feel a certain way. You also get to decide how they talk about you, right? Everything specific to your own personal brand, you get to decide. It's your brand. And so think about before you pick the aesthetics, and before you maybe even design your persona or go back and like fix it up a little bit, put it on paper. These are the words that I want people to use when they talk about me. These are the feelings that I want them to feel when they come across my website or they see me in a Facebook Live or they meet me in real life, right? This is what I stand for. This is what I stand against. It all goes back to building this personal brand, which is authentically you, just a 10x version of it, because people aspire to be like you. And again, I get it's weird and it's odd and it's uncomfortable at first and you're not sure what to share and what gets private stays private. Here's a tip for you in terms of sharing. Never ever share from an open wound. Always share from a scar. I didn't make that up. It's a quote by someone. I don't know who said it, but that's what I think about. Don't share the experience as you're going through it. Make sure that you give yourself as much time as you need to process the experience, to process the feelings, and then share the lesson, right? Share whatever happened to you. If you feel like even sharing it, share what you learned from the experience, right? You don't get to use your community as a therapist. That's inappropriate. So when you think of your personal brand, think about it as your persona, and that you get to decide how you show up. So I hope this was helpful for you. I hope that it gave you some ideas in terms of how to create your personal brand. If it did, make sure to hit that red subscribe button and the little bell so that you get notified every time we publish a new video. Thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you soon.